Welcome back to the Foundation Podcast. We're here with professional footballer, coach, and owner of an academy, Simon Nicholas. How are you, bro?
Good, bro. Yourself?
Not too bad, man.
Appreciate it.
Known each other for quite a while now, I'd say, going on to 10 years.
Yeah, close.
So we connected through football, funnily enough. And I still believe, like, the friendships you form through sport in general just, like, for some reason stick with a lifetime. We hated each other for like the first 2-3 years of knowing each other. Like you slapped my beer all over me at one game.
Bro, let's not get into that. That was a different time of football. Let's not confuse it. That was a different time of football. But yeah, it's good how football brings people together.
100%.
Yeah, it's been a good friendship, and hopefully it keeps going.
That's it. Now let's get into your journey as a footballer. I sent you over a questionnaire last week. Said it started as young as 4 years old. You said the goal was always to go pro. So talk me through your upbringing, where you played and your environment up until you made the decision to quit your apprenticeship and go all in.
Yeah, so basically my family was like a rugby league type of family. So soccer was never the focus. But I think my mum just wanted to put me in a sport because I think that's just what parents want to do. But she didn't want to put me in rugby because, head clashes and stuff like that always scared my mum. So basically, local club, Canley Heights. Mum puts me in at 4 years old, playing Joey's, which was like under fives at the time. And I always liked kicking a ball around the back out and stuff. But to be fair, I wasn't one of those naturally really good kids when I first started. And then I had a good coach. He was very strict on us, and that helped me learn a lot. But by the time I was 9, I was one of the better ones in the team, like pretty good. I used to tear up the league we were playing.
Yeah.
To be fair, it wasn't the highest league. We were playing Division 2.
You're just taking the piss.
Yeah, we were taking the piss at Division 2. We ended up going up to Division 1 in under 10s, and we literally lost every single game. But some of the players in that league...
It was like that when you were at that age, eh?
Bro.
The second you make that slightest jump up, just get fucking pumped.
And we went from division... there used to be back then, now, I don't know how many divisions there is, but back then there was 8 divisions, bro. So 2 was actually not bad, but then we went to 1, and then I've got Rami Nazarene, for example, who plays for one of the teams, who plays for Western United now, I believe. And then we got Fabian Monge, one of my best mates. He plays for Melbourne Victory. His brother was, I'd say, better than him. Fabian's not going to be happy with that. But he was a freak, bro. They beat us 15-2 one game.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was, and I was there after the game, bacon egg roll in my hand, and they're getting screamed at. They just won 15-2. I'm going, what's going on here? I'm like, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
But the first 4 or 5 years, I would say I improved drastically. I don't know if I just picked it up naturally because I definitely didn't start good. I definitely wasn't a good player when I first started.
Yeah.
But I just somehow, with the coach I had and maybe the positions I was playing, the things I was doing, I just kind of naturally picked it up. So from 4 to 10, 4 to 9, I was at Canley Heights playing park soccer.
Yep.
So yeah, after that I made a jump to rep league at the time, which was the top league you could play at that
Southern
age.
Districts?
Southern Districts, yeah. I played, actually, let's not talk about the location, but anyway, so I played for Southern Districts. That was a bit of a rough year for me because that was a massive jump. I went from being the worst team in Division 1. I was one of the better players, but then I went to that, and it was all the best players from our area were playing in that team. And
you've got 200 kids.
Exactly.
There as well.
When we rocked up to the trials, it was at Liverpool Olympics home ground. There was hundreds of kids there, bro, because that was the epitome. That's all the kids from Southwest, and we have a good
because there was no academies back then either.
No, there is now.
It was you play for Southern Districts or an Nepean, and that's pretty much.
There was no JDL, no SAP, so there was limited teams, right? Each area had one team at that level. So you had Blacktown, Bankstown, Southern Districts, Eastern Suburbs. You had one team. Now you've got 4 or 5 teams in every area for SAP.
Plus the academies on top.
Oh, exactly. And the academies are really good these days. Not like they were when we were younger. Academies were not great back then. Now it's you can get some bad ones.
Yeah.
But there's so many now. It's you can actually find a good one. Back then, maybe there was a handful that I can remember, but they weren't really big. Now they have competitions all the time. Some kids don't even play for a club. They just play academy.
No, Football Tech. Out in Wetherill Park, they just took a bunch of lads, young kids, over to Italy.
Yeah, there's academies doing that all the time, taking kids overseas on trips and stuff. And I think those I think expecting something to happen of those is not the best frame of mind to go into. I get parents asking me all the time, like,
Yeah.
what do you think about these trips? But I think in terms of an experience,
Oh, it'd be an unreal
you can't
experience,
replace that
bro.
type of experience, bro. You
Yeah.
can't.
Even for like the parents, just to see what that setup and infrastructure looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it does awaken the minds of the kids as well, because they really see what the talent pool's like overseas as well. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, here, it's like we get to play football as a privilege, whereas over there, it's like if you don't make it, you
You're
can't
fucked.
feed your family. Like it's a different type of level. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a bit, but like those guys, it's like it's not a choice to make it. Like football isn't a privilege for them; it's what they got to do.
Yeah.
So that's the competition difference. I think that's a good experience for youngsters because it opens their minds to like how hard they actually have to work to make it to a top level.
And then I'd guess it'd give them extra motivation as well. It's like, I got a sniff of what it's like over here. I want to work towards being able to get picked up and actually come back and get paid to be there.
Yeah, 100%. Because going over there and seeing what the coaching's like, what the team structures are like, it's a lot different than here. Like at 11 years old, 12 years old over there, they already have team structures. They're well shaped. Like here, it's kind of just like
It doesn't get
individual
serious
players are
here
good.
till like, I'd say 16, 17.
Uh,
Or even later.
I think earlier, bro. I think people take it really. Well, it depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about in terms of the frame of mind of parents and stuff, I have parents of like 9, 10-year-olds that take every decision that their coach makes really seriously. And sometimes I just have to remind them, like, you know, your kid's only 9, 10. What happens now is not going to be a big impact on his whole career. But that's just how parents
Project
are.
Mbappe.
Yeah, they're very invested into their kids, which you understand because the fees and stuff are quite expensive. So they're very invested. It's just you have to remind them sometimes, like, it's not the end of the world. If he has a bad coach now, he's not playing a position he likes, he just needs to stick it through because guess what? In your career, you're going to have moments where you don't have a good coach that you like. Or maybe you have a great coach, but you're not playing. There's going to be different obstacles. I think the younger that you're exposed to those, the easier it's going to be when you get older. Because I was young when I started, like, experiencing rejection. And I think, obviously, at the time I was devastated, you know, crying after you don't make a team and stuff. But I think that helped shape me as an older player because I know a lot of players that were much better than me in my teenage years. Much better. Like, I wasn't great in my teenage years, to be honest. But they got to 20, 19, the age where if you don't make first grade, you have a decision to make, whether you're going to quit football or you're going to drop levels to try and play. And I'll say 95% of the players I knew that were better than me, they weeded out at that age.
They just quit.
Because a lot of them hadn't ever got cut from a team before. They'd always just made it. And when you just make it, you just have that mentality of like, you're good enough, which is fair enough. That's just how it shapes you. And then so you get one rejection and you're like,
fuck it.
That's it. And for me, it was the opposite. I got rejected a lot as a youngster, a lot. Because I wasn't good as a youngster, to be honest. Like really young, like 9 to 10 or 5 to 10, I was decent. And then like, bro, from 11, 12 to like 16, 17, I just was, depending on the team I was in, obviously the levels, I was average player. So
were you always at the back?
No.
Really?
I made the position change when I was 13, 12. Because the team I was in at 13 was we won the league, NPL 1. So I was at Marconi. But to be completely honest, I was one of the lower players in the team. Like we had some absolute freaks in that team. I think from that team, there's 3 players that play professional now.
Okay, well.
So we were like a very, very good team.
Yeah.
And I was left-footed. That's always helped me, you know, because it's very rare to be left-footed, very rare. So that kind of just, they're like, oh, we'll put him left back. That's kind of, he's left-footed. It will help bring balance to the team, whatever. Yeah. And I'd never played defender in my life. Okay. Anyway, I went there and, you know, it was a struggle at the start, but I was happy to be playing because I started off not playing at all.
Yeah, so you just want to game.
Yeah, I was like, get me on the field. I'll be happy. And at the time, I was really nervous to play left back because you're thinking like, when you're an attacker, you lose the ball. You got the whole team behind you. When you lose the ball as a defender, it's like they're right there. But I picked it up pretty quick, honestly. Like coaches used to show me things like, you know, get your body side on, this type of things. Like don't try to make the tackle straight away, which is your automatic instinct when you first go defend. You're just like, oh, I need to win the ball.
Yeah.
And I took those things in really quickly and I've not moved since, basically. Maybe 1 year, 2 years in midfielder, but not at a great level. Okay. But like whenever I've played a high level, it's always been left back or centre back.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it, bro. Honestly, I like defending. I love defending.
Yeah.
When I was younger, not as much, but as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate defending more and more. And now if I had to play like left wing or something like that, I'd feel out of place. Even when I play left wing back sometimes in the formation we play, it's not my cup of tea.
Okay.
I don't mind playing left back and a back four, but playing like a winger, it's not me.
Hey, you can whip in a ball though.
Yeah, I can whip in a ball, but I can't.
was surprised at
I
that.
can't. Yeah, I can't beat defenders one-on-one
Okay.
like confidently. Like I probably can, but it's just
You
something
don't have
I've
the
not done a
technique.
lot in my career.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you've not done something a lot in your career, you're not really confident doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not my game. My game's defending, making tackles, maybe a cross here and there.
Yeah.
Communicating. That's me. Other players can do just pass it to the top players. They can beat players, and they let them do their work.
Nice. And how did you get into coaching?
So I kind of fell into coaching because I was doing an apprenticeship at the time. I was an electrician after I actually left school. Funny enough, that's a whole nother story. But so I started my apprenticeship. I did it about a year and a half, and then I had a real decision to make because I was having this problem in my back, like injury, and football and work was not helping it.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to make a decision on what I wanted to do. And initially you're thinking, all right, I'm just going to give up football because at the time I was playing NPL 3. I just came back from playing park football.
At Granville, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at Granville. I just came back from playing park football for 2 years, and I was like, I wanted to play decent level, like a respectable level, because I've always been competitive, and the park soccer was not it. So I was like, I'll play NPL 3, whatever it was, whatever I can make, and at least it's competitive, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't. But I went there and I enjoyed it, my time there. It was frustrating because we used to lose a lot, but it actually helped me grow as a player a lot. I got a lot better at defending because all we used to do was defend. We just defended nonstop. So I was making tackles every game. I was having duels one-on-one against some decent players at the time. So that improved me a lot. I don't even remember what the question was. What was the question again?
I can't even remember.
Oh, it was about
how you fell into coaching. How you fell into
yeah,
coaching.
that's it. So I kind of went on a tangent. But so I left that job.
Yep.
It was a tough decision, but I left that job. It was between that and football, and I was like, you know what? I can always be an electrician. Football's only going to be around for a certain amount of time. You see players now retiring at 32, 33, like especially on the AstroTurf grass and stuff. So I was like, I'll give football a crack. Even at the time, I wasn't thinking at that time like I could make it pro. But I do remember a specific conversation I had with someone, and they're like, you need to know that you're not going to play at a good, like at the professional level. And I was like, and I always just had in my head I was going to play at that level, even though I was playing low level at the time, however delusional it sounds. And I was like, that moment, I could have went, all right, I'll listen to him, or I'll do my own thing. And I'm so happy. I was like, get fucked. I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Given I didn't make it to the A-League, which is what I wanted, but I came pretty close. And I played a really good level, like to some top players in my league. Anyway, so I fell into coaching because I left the Sparky and I needed money.
Yeah.
So football wasn't paying me back then. So I needed money. So I started coaching for the Juventus Academy.
Yeah.
And I was there for 3-4 years. And honestly, I've always been a good communicator. That really, really like showed when I started coaching. I loved coaching. Like as soon as I started, because it's something I already knew, right? Sparky for me, like an electrician, was like something I had to learn. Football, I already knew, right? I still had a lot to learn, but at the time I knew. So it was like I could actually give insight to these kids to help them. Mistakes that I made when I was 14, 15, I could help them avoid.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into coaching. It was basically because I needed money. But it also, I actually fell in love with coaching. That was back when I was like 18, so 7-8 years ago now. That's how I got into coaching. I was at the Juve Academy for 3-4 years, which helped me learn a lot. We had a lot of good experienced coaches come through, like some guys that played Italian professionally. The guy that actually owns the academy played professionally, so I got to learn a lot of him. And they knew at the time I was still trying to crack it and play football.
Yeah.
So I used to ask them questions on playing, and then they'd give me advice on playing. And then if I needed advice on how do I handle this situation for coaching, they'd help me with that.
Nice.
So that's how I fell into coaching. But yeah, it's been 7-8 years, started my own academy now, and I've been around coaching a few different places. But yeah, I'm happy where I am now. Hopefully still growing.
That's it.
And we'll see how we go.
Really cool, man. That's such a cool story. I remember finding out, I think one of our friends told me that you quit your apprenticeship and it was like going all in on football. And at the time I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy.
That was everyone, bro. Trust me, even having the conversation with my parents was really tough.
How did that go?
Oh, bro, it was really awkward. I actually lied to them initially. So I said I wanted to quit my apprenticeship to become a firefighter.
Yep.
And then that was within minutes I'd changed. Because I knew what I wanted, but I was so scared to tell them.
Didn't know how to go.
And this is not like no fault of my parents. My parents have always been open with me and always wanted me to be honest, and they've never
It's a hard conversation to
Yeah,
have.
yeah,
You're
they've
19 years old.
Exactly. They've never, bro. I think I was still 18 at the time, but I'd never been like they'd never like condemned me for a decision I made. I'd made some stupid decisions in football that they never even blinked. But I rolled myself up so much about it because like it was a life-changing decision, right? My life could have been completely different if I stayed.
Yeah, you could have been
But
sparky.
yeah, exactly, bro. Not too bad to be fair. The money's all right. But I've been roofs all the time, so yeah, that's not for me. My lower back would have been gone by 25, I reckon. Anyway, so I had to build up like courage to say, and I ended up just saying, "Oh, I want to be a firefighter." Like it just kind of came out instinctually, and then within like minutes, I'd been like, "Listen, I'd calm myself down. I was like, listen, I don't want to be a firefighter. I want to be a football player." And then like initially, my parents are like you're 18, like you had that choice to make when you were 13, 14, and I was like, basically, I'd said, listen, it doesn't matter what you guys say, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Like. And then they were very supportive of it. Initially, it was like they were shocked, taken back, because they're like, "What's wrong with our son?" And I was like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Yeah. And that's because I got to live my life.
100%.
And they were supportive, 100% supportive. Obviously, they were initially shocked. Yeah. But after that, they were completely supportive. They still support me heavily now, even I'm into my mid-20s, and my parents have always been my number one supporters. No matter what I've said, they've always said, it's your life. You got to do what you got to do. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. You got to learn from that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was a very tough conversation. Even now thinking about it, bro, I remember my heart was pumping. Like, when you feel your face go red and stuff, I remember that feeling back then. But since I've made that decision, that was the best decision I ever made, bro. Yeah. The best decision I ever made. And at the time it was scary. That's why a lot of people have decisions to make and they probably take the safer route.
100%.
And don't get me wrong, I've probably taken some safer options after that, even before that. But that was one decision that like shaped me completely, put me on a completely different path. Yeah. And I'm so happy I made that decision because how my life's turned out so far is absolute blessing, bro. And I can only thank God for that.
Bro, you're living a footballer's dream, bro.
Yeah, honestly.
You're living life and making money through football, which is a lot of people's dream and not many people's reality. So congratulations to you. And now looking back on that decision, like, fucking congratulations, bro. Like, that was a tough decision. It'd be a tough decision for anybody to make, let alone, like, being 18, 19. Hormones are fucking everywhere. Social life's fucking everywhere. And to actually just lock in, I want to do this and execute it. Yeah. Fucking congrats, bro. Yeah. Huge inspiration.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. If I can give the advice to the young players, if you can make that decision on wanting to become a footballer a couple of years earlier, it'll help a lot, trust me. But yeah, I'm happy I made it then. Obviously no regrets, but if I made that decision couple of years earlier, it would have put me a lot further ahead, but I can't look back because if I made that decision earlier, maybe it wouldn't have fell into coaching, which is something I love. But yeah, I would say if you can make that decision earlier, because I always just had in my head like, yeah, pro, I'm going to play pro. Like it's just going to happen. But it doesn't. You've got to go out there and make it happen. You've got to absolutely work your ass off to get separate yourself from the rest. Because the 3 times a week training with your club is not enough. And I didn't learn that till too late. But like 3 nights a week compared to, if you compare even to overseas, these kids are training 5 days a week with their team. They play. So they're already full-time environment from a younger age. So if you want to be able to compete at the top level, you need to be doing your own sessions once or twice a week when you're 13, 14. That's why I think, so I still coach at a school now. And I think we run a really good school program. Yeah. And those extra sessions complement their clubs so well. Because we do, for the seniors, it's 3 sessions a week. And then for the younger ones, it's 2. But those extra sessions just help top you up. So
That's 3 and 2 extra sessions on top of their team training.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, so
and that's for school.
Yeah, and that's just like basically technical stuff.
Yeah.
So we don't do like no team structure, anything like that. It's more just like school environment's supposed to be fun, so fun is the priority. But then also a lot of technical stuff. A lot of shooting, a lot of passing stuff that they're going to enjoy because it's school football, and they have their stresses to worry about in their club football, winning games and stuff. School football is more like detachment environment. Enjoy your football, be around your mates, but also still improve. And I was lucky I had that too. So I went to Bosley Park High School where we used to train. And if I didn't have those sessions, even with because I was playing park soccer for a couple of years there, if I didn't have those extra sessions at Bosley, I wouldn't be where I am now. Because we used to train like two to 3 times a week. And those extra sessions, if I look back, probably used to top me up on what I needed.
Yeah, it compounds over time.
Exactly. So the kids that were training with clubs only 3 times a week and play on the weekend, just say that's 4 sessions. I was training twice with my park soccer team, 2 to 3 times with Bosley, and a game. So I would end up training more, given the park soccer quality sessions probably weren't the best, but I was getting more touches on the ball.
Yeah.
I'm convinced if I didn't do that program, I would not be where I am now.
Okay.
So that was a big help for me. And that also was fun. You know,
Yeah,
you're with
you're
your
with your
mates, you're
mates.
kicking a ball. Those were some of the best times. Like I remember at school, the 2 things I miss about school was, and I hated school, to be honest. I wasn't good. Kids go to school, but that wasn't for me. Was the recess games, the recess and lunch soccer games,
Yeah.
and the training we used to do at school were the 2 best things about school.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're not playing club with your mates from school either.
Never. You're lucky if you have 1 or 2
Exactly.
mates in your team that you know. And you obviously you build relationships over
Yeah,
time.
but
But
you're-
like at school, you're seeing them every day, 7 hours. It's not the same type of relationship.
I've heard some stories of your recess and lunch soccer games
Oh, mate.
from our notorious barber. So
Top goal scorer, he'll claim.
apparently it was the Bosley Park Karim Benzema. I
That's
heard.
what he says, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a few Benzemas, I think.
I
But
can
he
imagine.
was one of them.
I can imagine out there. So after quitting your apprenticeship, you went into MPL 3 at Granville? Or were you already there?
Yeah, no. So I was already there.
Yep.
So I quit my apprenticeship on the 2nd year of being there,
Okay.
just as I was finishing the 2nd year. So I went from Freeman, which is like park soccer,
Mhm.
play with your mates, to Granville, which
Yep.
was like, at the time, no disrespect to the club, was bottom of the barrel MPL. Like it was
MPL 3.
Yeah, MPL 3. There was 4 MPLs at the time, but MPL, they were like, we used to play trial matches against MPL 4 teams and lose.
Okay.
So it was just to get my foot back in the door. I had 2 mates that were playing there, so that's kind of how I ended up there.
Okay.
And funny enough, like I was there for a lengthy trial. Like they didn't sign me straight away. They trialed me for like 4 or 5 weeks. And I remember actually coming back, they're like, oh, come back after Christmas. And I was like, all right, I rocked up after Christmas and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? It was like one of those ones.
Oh.
And I was like, well, you told me to come back. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So I trained and they ended up signing me, thankfully. That could have went
Yeah.
south quickly. But I ended up being one of the better players in the team, even though like I was not in shape. Like I was at the time, like for a footballer, and like nowhere near the shape I needed to be. But I was lucky I was left footed and I had a decent technical understanding of the game. So I spent 2 years at Granville, so 18s. And then when I was playing 18s, I was playing 20s up a little
Yep.
bit. And then when I was played 20s that year, I was playing first grade a little bit as well.
Okay.
So I got a taste of first grade and I was like, I want this. Obviously, I wanted to play higher. I had
Mhm.
higher aspirations, but I was like, first grade will be the
Next step.
stepping stone.
Yeah.
So I played a few games first grade that year. And I remember watching the first grade team and I was thinking, like, no disrespect to the players, I was thinking, how am I not playing in this team? Even though I was 18 at the time,
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm more than good enough to be playing in this team.
Yeah.
Outside circumstances, out of my control. I was doing what I could do and it didn't work out. They ended up offering me to stay on as a first grader for the next year. But I already made up my mind at the time that I wanted to take a risk. So I could have played first grade MPL 3 there,
Yep.
but I ended up taking a risk and going to play MPL 2, 1 league higher, but under 20s.
Okay. Who for?
Radomir.
That's right.
So yeah, I went there on a friend I knew contacted their first grade coach who used to run the 20s and the first grade.
Okay, yep.
He's like, yeah, come in for a trial, no worries. But the guy that actually sent me there was like advising me to stay at Granville. Like he was advising me saying, I reckon you should stay there because you're guaranteed to play first grade.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I would have been playing first grade, but I was like, I want to take a risk, bro. Like I knew Granville wasn't a notoriously big club and I know players like clubs aren't looking at Granville to get players. So I was like, I need to take a risk here, go to a bigger club. Radomir was a bigger club at the time. So I went there, signed under 20s, but it was one of those ones where they've got like 25 first graders and like 9 under 20s players.
Oh.
So you're getting like players that are like 17, 18 playing first grade,
Yeah.
dropping to 20s every week.
Okay.
So I was going in thinking I'm not in a good spot here, but I'd always proven myself. So I've always been confident that if I play, I'll prove myself, and ended up working. So I remember one game we played Marconi in preseason, and there was from our 20s team of 9 or 10 players, whatever we had, only 2 players were starting from those 10, and the rest were first graders dropping down, and I was one of those 2. Okay. So I was like, okay. That was when I was like, okay, I got a good chance here. Like I could actually crack the first team, even though there's 17-year-olds that are in my position that are training with first grade full time, and I'm still with the 20s. Ended up playing a few preseason games with first grade and played pretty decent. Anyway, round 5, 6 comes around. I've been playing really good for the 20s, like very good. I was the captain, and I was playing very well. The team was performing really well. And a couple of injuries in first grade, and then I'm kind of just thrown straight in there, like on a week's notice. I just train.
Few injuries.
Yeah, yeah, always. Yeah. You never celebrate an injury, and I actually know the 2 guys that were injured still now, but
They still play?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
actually
nice.
both play at Mounties.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went in. Literally that week, he's called me into training, and I'm thinking, okay, like I'm just gonna train with them because they need numbers. You know, when you play 11v11, you have like your first 11 versus your second 11. Sometimes they don't have enough players for the second 11, so they just get you in. I go in, and I'm like in the first team left back, and I'm going, something's wrong here. Like this can't be right.
Yeah.
And then the coach is Chris Camilleri, who's actually really good for me. He loved playing youngsters up, and he put a lot of faith in me. He's like, you're gonna be playing this weekend, and I was like, all right, gun. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, I'm ready. I'd been waiting for this moment because you know MPL 3 first grade's not the same. MPL 2 first grade was a massive jump. MPL 2 at the time was a very, obviously it's still a good league now, but there was less teams.
Yeah.
So there was less teams in MPL 1, less teams in MPL 2. So the competition was I'd say a lot more tougher back then.
Okay.
Regardless. Anyway, I got my chance. I took it. I played good, and I was with the first grade team the whole year. So I was permanent first grade. But I played about half the games for first grade, half the games for 20s. There was like some points issues where you're not allowed to play certain amount of games if you're, I don't know what the rule is. So that hindered me at the start, and then they ended up getting me on first grade points. So then I was able to play, but I still played about half and half. I think I played like 13, 14 games that year for first grade as a 19 turning 20.
Yep.
So maybe a little bit behind a lot of players I knew, but still like that was my breakout year.
Yeah.
Where like that I would say put me on the map. No one knew who I was, but that gave me the confidence that I was like, okay, I can actually push on and do well here.
Yeah.
Because I was 19, 20, and I was performing well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're playing some really good teams, bro. Like Central Coast Mariners, Northern Tigers were really good.
Mariners would have had a good academy back then. Eh?
Yeah, Bonnyrigg were good back then as well. Wanderers was in the league back then.
Bonnyrigg probably still has the same team today than back then.
Let's not get into that. They used to spend a lot of money back then. So the Bonnyrigg back then was a lot different than what they are now.
Yeah.
Like they were very, very good. There was a lot of good teams. We ended up getting relegated that year, which was very frustrating. We were the last team to get relegated. Back then it was club championship. So 18s, 20s first grade points. I think we went down by 1 point, like on club championship points, and we were the last on the last day.
That's frustrating.
So that was frustrating. So I liked it. I liked it there. And it was a really good club. I had nothing bad to say about the club. But once they went down to MPL 3, I was like, I need to
either stay up or go a step.
Exactly. So, and then that's when I came to SD Raiders. So that's actually
Okay.
That was good. I knew a few people there, so it was kind of like a multitude of people helped me get there. I knew like the strength and conditioning coach. I played futsal with like the first grade captain, and someone else was. I don't want to mention his name, but someone else was helping me get there because he knew I shouldn't be playing MPL 3.
Okay.
So he helped me go to MPL 2. He knows who he is, but thank you. I don't want to mention his name. Anyway, so I went there and I loved it at SD. I was there for 2 years. First year was COVID year though. So I broke my foot.
Yeah.
And I basically, there was a short half season. It was like 11 games or whatever it was. I basically missed the whole season, which was frustrating.
Lucky, like hindsight looking back at it, lucky for COVID.
Yeah, well,
because like you missed out on a dud season.
Yeah, well, it would have been good to get more games, especially at the time.
But better than like touchwood doing it now, sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Now that we're playing 30 games, I wouldn't want to break my foot. But if I broke my foot now in a 30-game season, I'll be played half the year still.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but regardless, I missed the whole first year. Basically, I played like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
But I showed enough in those first couple games there. They're like we'll keep him.
Okay.
So I stayed the second year, and the second year was another COVID year, but it was a lot longer. So I ended up playing like 15, 16 games, and then COVID cut it off again. But I played basically most of those games. I think I remember the last game we played before COVID. I just came back from like a minor hamstring injury. Mm-hmm. And like our team was playing really good at the time. But like I was, not to be cocky, but like I was one of those players that's like, just get him in. Get him in wherever because he'll do a job for us. Yeah. So I played left wing. That was actually funny. And we actually beat Hakawa, which was like a big result for us. They were pushing for promotion at the time, and we beat them 2-1, and we were like mid to low table. We were nowhere near it, and we had a really good team. But that was the last game, and then COVID hit again, and that was 2021. I was like, bro, very frustrating.
Yeah, how do you like keep pushing through that? Like,
well, to be honest, I used that as a reason to get better.
Yeah.
So during COVID, we basically had nothing to do, right?
We used training at all as a team?
As a team, no.
Okay.
So we started off like they gave you some runs to do and stuff, but then once we realized the season was done, like because a couple weeks later they're like season binned, they were done.
Yeah.
You're not with the team anymore. Like unless you're signed for next year, you're done. Like basically everyone's off contract. I knew they wanted to keep me, so I had that peace of mind.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about finding a new team. They wanted to keep me. I was like, okay. Obviously, I had ambitions to play higher, but I was like, I got this no matter what. Anyway, I didn't want to use that as an excuse to be lazy. I had 2 mates, the Jez brothers, and we used to train basically every day in COVID. So I saw that as an opportunity to actually get better.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of players. I know some pro players that we trained with. We had some really good sessions. Like a lot of boys would rock up at, probably was illegal at the time, but we used to have like 20, 30
outdoor
boys.
activity, bro. You're chilling.
Yeah, we used to have 20, 30 boys rock up to like Jensen Park in Bankstown, and we just play 3-team, winner stays on for hours, bro. So that helped me.
And all like semi-pro players.
And professional. We had players, I don't want to mention names, but like we had
I
players
remember you telling me, I think I remember a few conversations around that period.
We had some Mariners players, Wanderers players, like very good players, bro. Most of them still play A-League now. So it was high standard. Like we had players that range from MPL 3, 4 to A-League.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and it was so good. But at the time I realized like a lot of these like I'd see some of the A-League players, they were just coming for these games. They weren't doing any other training. And I see like, bro, some of them were like heavy, like fat. And I was like, bro, I'm like, these guys play professional. They're on full-time
contract.
Yeah. And some of them are fat. And I was like, and they're still good players. Don't get me wrong, top players. But I'm like, they're heavy, like they don't even take care of themselves. And I was like, that's when I was like, this is a chance for me. Like, how many times is COVID gonna happen in your life?
Yeah, bro.
Maybe if you're lucky, twice for us. Anyway, I was like, I can use this opportunity to gain and to close the gap, right? Because there was still a gap between me and A-League players. It wasn't as big as I thought, but there was still a gap.
Yeah.
Anyway, I trained my ass off. Me and my mates, I had a routine that helped me a lot. I'm a man of routines, bro. So used to get up in the morning, go train with my mates around 10 a.m., 2 of us, and we used to just do like 1v1s and stuff, like the stuff that I feel I needed to work on.
Yeah.
So defending, I felt like I was good at. Passing, I've always been decent at. Dribbling, I don't really do, so I didn't really need to. But we just did 1v1s all the time, bro. All the time. That's something I needed to work on. And just doing that every day helped my confidence as a player heaps. And then we trained for a couple months before COVID stopped. And I reached out to a few MPL1 coaches. And I got an offer to go trial for Apia. And that was like, I was like, wow. I didn't expect one of the biggest clubs.
But at that time, they would have just come off winning?
They won the last full season.
So
that was 2019 and then 2020 COVID, 2021
Yep.
COVID. But they were going for a little bit of a transitional period where they had some experienced players that were like obviously quality, but they were starting to move those on and bring in some younger players. And they were looking for a left-footed defender. So I was like, all right, I had a connection. So I went in for a trial. And I was still signed to SD at the time. But I had a clause in my contract that allowed me to explore MPL1 opportunities.
Okay, nice.
I have to thank the MPL1, the Goz, the guy at SD Raiders, the coach. I have to thank him for allowing me to actually do that. Because I know a lot of coaches that would have been like, no, we signed you. You're staying here.
Yeah, 100%.
Given I was still training with SD. So SD was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And then RPR at the time was Wednesday, Friday. So I was training those 5 days. And I don't even remember back then being sore, which is crazy. Like, I remember maybe on a Friday, I'd be a little bit sore, but like, I was still like, still so young. Like, you just recover so quick.
What age did you start feeling so?
Oh, we'll get into that, mate. Don't worry. We'll get into that. So anyway, I was trialing and a couple weeks goes by and I talked to the RPO coach. I'm like, oh, do you think it's going good? He's like, I'm happy. He's like, but there's no rush. Obviously, as a player, you're just like, tell me, am I good enough? Am I shit or am I good?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm happy how you're going, but I want you to keep playing and we need to play trial games. We hadn't played trial games at the time.
Okay.
We played our first trial game against Sydney Olympic. I ended up playing 90 minutes as a centre back and we won 1-0. Kept a clean sheet and I played very well, to be honest. So they signed me straight after that. Even the money wasn't the best, considering I know what some of the RPA boys were on. They were on big money compared to what I was on. But I was just happy to get in that environment. The money was whatever he said on the phone. He could have said, you pay us $100 a week. I would have been like, yep, no worries. I'll sign. It was just...
You want to be in that environment.
Exactly, bro.
Experience it.
Some top players there that I'd watched growing up.
Yeah, okay.
So to be in that environment was a bit surreal. I didn't expect it. I was always thinking like I'd go to a lower NPL1 team, and I was just thrown straight in the deep end to a top NPL1 team. And to be honest, I went there and they made you feel like, even when I was trialing, made you feel like family, bro.
Yeah.
Made you feel like family. So it was really easy for me to play confidently in training and stuff like that. So signed there. It ended up not being the best year for me personally. I didn't get enough game time, given there was some players that were playing in front of me that were very good. Like I can't, at the time, if I was the coach, probably would have made that decision as well. Anyway, I started playing the first few games, like started a couple, came off the bench for a couple, and then there was a like 2-month period, 3-month period of 10 to 12 games. I didn't play. I was playing 20s, bench first grade, never even come on, which was very frustrating, very frustrating. But
how'd you handle that mentally? Because that would have been very difficult.
Yeah. So it sounds simple, but you have a choice. You be a pussy about it and you go, I'm gonna just spit the dummy.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna put my head down and work. And I just put my head down and work, bro. And it was a good environment, so it made it easier. If it was like the environment was full of shit cunts that were just shit blokes, you'd hate it.
Exactly.
But because they were just good guys, they always made you feel involved. You always feel like you're part of the team.
Yeah. So even if you're not playing for like 2-3 weeks, you don't like you're still looking forward to training.
Exactly. And I was playing with Fabian at the time, Monch, and we used to carpool together. So that was like our time. We'd just chat, talk. And exactly. So I had that. And then when you get to training, there was a couple other boys. Matty Cahill was one who I was really close with. And so it just made it easy when I was there, bro. And Matty Cahill was injured a lot that year. So we spent a lot of time together. So I'd always look forward to our chats watching the game from upstairs, not playing. But I enjoyed that year. I needed it because I'd never been in a team where I'm a bench player. That was the first year where I'd been a bench player in my whole career, regardless of the level I played.
Yeah, you've always been like, by the sounds of it, you're always like that first name on the team sheet.
Exactly. So you have a bit of arrogance. You're like, because I came in and there's a kid that just come out of A-League basically, and he's actually playing A-League now. He's very, very good left back.
Okay.
And I was like, still at the time, I just came from MPL2. I was thinking like, once I play it, I'll be good. I didn't have a great preseason. I had COVID like in that break, in the Christmas break, and I came back rattled, bro. Like my body, I had you know how people had it for 3-4 days? I had it for 2 weeks, man. I was cooked. Like my throat was killing. Like I had no taste for a week. Like it was really bad.
Crazy,
bro. It was really bad. And I was like, it's just 2 weeks, bro. I was set back.
Yeah.
A good couple of months after that. Because I came into trial at RPR. Like I said, some of the players weren't in the best shape. So I was in great shape because I'd been training the whole time. So that helped me stand out. My work rate and my energy has always been one of my better attributes. So then when I got COVID and came back, that was severely affected. And when that's your biggest attribute, like your work rate, your energy, you don't get to show your best self. So that's didn't get me off to a good start there, which probably didn't help in the whole year. Funny enough, I ended up playing. We made finals on the last day because of like, to be fair, we got lucky. We had a really good team, but we had a really rough second half of the year. And I ended up getting thrown into, because there was some injuries, some players weren't performing at the time, whatever it was. The coach was like, all right, you've worked your ass off for 3 months, even though you haven't played, you're going in. And this was like semi-final against Marconi, at Marconi, elimination final. So I played 20s the week before. Okay. I'd played 20s the week before. So I was thinking, this is my last game for RPR because I'm not going to make the team for finals. Like I was being realistic.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was still going to train my ass off, but I was like being realistic. Anyway, Tuesday comes around. He's like, yep, you're in the team. And I was like, all right, well, I have a choice to make here, either sink or swim. And to be fair, I was really like, I wouldn't say nervous, but I wasn't confident because I'd been playing 20s and the 20s league is very slow compared to first grade.
Yeah.
But I played pretty good. We ended up winning 1-0, which was a massive win. That's probably one of the biggest games looking back that I've played in. One of the couple big games I've played in. It's at Marconi versus RPR, which is big Italian derby, big rivalry, and it's an elimination final. The clubs don't like each other.
Huge game.
Yeah, huge game, bro. Game. And to be fair, it made it easier because the guys I had around me, like top players.
Yeah.
So it made my life easier in that sense. Like I didn't have to go in there and change the game. I just had to go in there and do my job, build myself into the game, which I did. But it was just like, bro, it was a tennis match. The ball's like bang, 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 bang. Like, bro, they're doing long throws 30 meters down the line, and I'm competing for headers every 2 minutes. It was just one of those like, when you think of like an English 8th division game where it's just a battle, everyone's kicking the shit out of each other, but it's just a bit of quality wins you the game. And that's what it was, bro, to be honest, because it's one of those games where no one wants to make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to make sure you do your job. And I did, and we did as a team, and we made it to the next round, and we ended up losing against Blacktown the next week, who ended up going on to win it. They were unbelievable team. Like they bopped us that game. I remember like Aoyama was there. He's at Perth Glory now. Mario Chabal,
Yeah.
Malia. Like, these guys are top players.
Malia is still fucking top 4.
Yeah, and he retired and then came back and he's killing it still, bro. Yeah, he's a freak. But like that's the type of team they had. Like I think Danny Choi was there at the time as well. I could be wrong on that, but they had a like unbelievable team. And I just remember I was chasing shadows, bro. I was chasing shadows. Like
Were you marking?
I think I was against Major.
Okay.
Major and Aoyama was coming to my side a lot, which I wasn't happy about. He was in the pocket in front of me, so that was always tough. I think it was Aoyama mostly, Major as well.
Yep.
It was tough. It was really tough,
Yeah.
and they bopped us. We ended up losing 2-0, and we had about one chance in the game, so it wasn't really. They were, to be honest, they were just better than us.
Yeah.
And we gave it our best shot, and I ended up getting to play 2 finals games, which I didn't expect. I hadn't played for like 3 months before that.
Yeah.
So it was a good. Obviously, I wasn't happy we got knocked out, but it was a good way to end for me personally.
Yep.
And it was looking like I was going to stay there. Obviously, I wanted to go play somewhere else. I wanted to actually play minutes. I loved it
first
there.
team.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it there. I loved the club, good people there, good team. And that was always an option to stay, but I knew if I stayed, it wasn't going to be like you're
100%.
first on the list. Yeah, you're going to be in and out, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Especially at my age, and that's the first time I experienced that, and I don't want to experience that again. I'd rather play in a team that comes dead last, play every game, than play in a team that's coming 4th or 5th and go in and out constantly.
100%.
It's just it's shit, bro. So that's how I ended up at Spirit.
Nice. So what age were you then? How old were you then?
So I was 23.
23. And
Yeah,
then how
23.
did Spirit come about? Because you're still there today.
Yeah.
One of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah. So I reached out to the coach. I was like, I'm looking for, I want to play.
Mhm.
And I sent him a highlight video and nothing really came about. It was a couple of weeks. I was like, all right, he doesn't want me. That's fine. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, I knew they wanted, so Matty Cahill, the guy I mentioned earlier, who was at RPL with me,
Mhm.
they'd been wanting him for a while. And he was like negotiating with them, whatever. And he ended up signing with them because he wanted to play as well, right?
Yeah.
He was on the bench for RPA. Obviously, he was injured and stuff, which didn't help. So he went there, and like Matty calls me. He goes, "You're gonna get a call from the Spirit coach, Perko." And I was like, "Why? What happened?" He's like, "I just signed there," and I told him, "You're a gun." And I was like, "Thanks, bro. All good." Anyway, I don't know if it was that day or the next day. I ended up getting a call from Perko and just saying, "Can we have a chat?" Anyway, we met up and we talked and then met up again and then ended up signing. So it was a no-brainer for me. Obviously, you go back and forth on the negotiation and stuff, but I always wanted to go there just because I wanted to play.
Yep.
They just came up from MPL 2
Mhm.
and I knew like they were a good club.
Yeah.
I knew they were a good club, but I thought like at the time like we're going to be battling to stay up and stuff, but I'll get to play every minute of every game, so that's awesome. So I went there and surprisingly we had a good team. Well, I think the first year we came 11th out of 16, which is not great.
No, but coming up from MPL 2 to MPL 1, huge difference.
Yeah, it was massive, and I think obviously I'm talking like we had basically no players that had played MPL 1 in that team. There were some players that had dabbled in it, like me. I wouldn't even say I dabbled in it. I barely got to actually see it for a whole season.
Yeah.
We had like Richie Darko, who was who dabbled in MPL 1, but never like was able to prove himself. So we went up and we did all right for our first year. I think the main goal was to, not get relegated.
Yeah.
That was the main goal. Obviously, they just come off winning the Waratah Cup. So that was always an ambition, but, we never really got there. I think we were one game off making the 32 and we lost against Sydney United, which would have been good, but Sydney United was very good at the time as well. And we weren't up to that level yet. We had good players. We just weren't there yet.
Mhm.
Basically played every game, bro. Like every single game. Every cup game, 90 minutes. Every league game, 90 minutes. So I was really happy with that.
Nice.
That just helps your confidence as well, bro.
Yeah.
That does
100%.
wonders for your confidence. Like the player I was at Spirit compared to RPO is completely different. Because at RPO was like I never had enough run of games to be able to build up confidence.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy that can just go bang, turn it on, and I'm got confidence. Right? I'm always confident in my ability, but I need minutes and I need a bit of consistency to show myself.
Yeah, 100%.
So when I had that at Spirit and I had the faith, like the backing of the coach and the players behind me, it's like, yeah, you're going to be playing every game. Straight away, it was a good fit for me. And I felt it, bro. So that first year we finished 11th, which was, we didn't have massive expectations, but we were by far off relegation. We weren't even close. So we were safe. And yeah, it was a good first year there. Now I'm on my 3rd year there.
Mhm.
But that first year was really good. Second year was rough.
I think second year, the back end of the second year was a lot better.
Yeah, we had a good run of form.
I watched one game from the first year, and then I came to a few from the second year, and you could tell a huge difference. But both times, anytime I went to Christie Park and watched you guys, you could just tell the club's on the right path. Like, it's set up like a proper football club, and like they're in the right direction. Even when I speak with Gaz, he's like, "Mate, we can't offer players huge salaries, but we can offer them a professional environment." And like you can see that from an outsider looking into the club, like it's class.
Oh, mate, it's as close to professional as you can get.
Yeah.
As close to professional as you can get in terms of like, we all wearing GPSs. We all know the numbers that we're running, the sessions. It's very close to professional, as close as you can get in a semi-pro environment.
Yeah.
But in terms of like just the club as a whole, they've got massive ambitions. They're on the rise, bro.
Yeah, you can
They're
tell.
on the rise.
Like this year, you guys fucking tearing up.
Oh, we're playing good. We started off really well, and we dropped off a bit.
Going a little bit of a slump at the moment.
But if you'd said to me at the start of the year you'd be sitting in fourth after halfway through the season, or just about, I'd be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because you're realistic, right? We had players that came in that are very good, but you just don't know if it's going to click.
Yeah, and it takes time for
players to gel. We had preseason, and I was out before Christmas, just rehabbing an injury. And some of the games I was watching, I was like, these guys are good players, but it's not working. Like, we weren't playing good in preseason. Okay. To be fair, since I've been there, we've been shit every preseason. Whatever reason that is, doesn't matter. But preseason doesn't win you the league, bro.
Yeah.
So you don't go off preseason results, right? Obviously, you want to win, but no one cares about preseason when the season starts. So we start the year against Sydney, and we just get a win, 3-2, which was good. And then all of a sudden we go on like a 4-game winning streak. We beat Apia, we beat Blacktown convincingly. We beat Wanderers. Like, we had a really, really good start to the year.
And especially because last year you struggled to score goals quite a bit.
Yeah, so we signed a player last year who it didn't end up working out. Whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then it kind of, all the responsibility fell on someone else that it shouldn't have.
Okay.
So basically, like, our second striker at the time coming in, very good player.
Yeah.
But like, he wasn't really expected to be like our main man.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a lot of pressure for him. And basically his first year in NPL 1 first grade, he's just thrown in to be a 9 starter. And it was a tough year for him. It was not just for him, but for everyone. It was a tough year. Like, maybe we weren't giving him enough service, whatever it was. We didn't have a great year, but we hit a really good run of form. And I had some of the best moments that year because we made the round of 16 in the Australia Cup.
Yeah, that was huge.
So funny enough, like, we had a rough year in the league, but we ended up having a really good run of form in the league and the cup, and we got to play against Melbourne Victory, which was unbelievable. Yeah. That was a really good experience.
Even the Tasmanian side that came up.
Yeah, that was awesome as well.
Crazy.
Getting to play, it's always good when you get to play a team you don't normally get to play.
Yeah.
Like, not when they're like a Division 5 team, but like when they're another NPL team, like, it's always good, like, to have that experience. So that's some of those couple of games in the Australia Cup were some of the best moments of my career, for sure. Because they were just good. Like, you went to Christie Park and it's full, bro. Yeah, it's like mad. It was like 2,500 people there, which probably isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things. But like, it was full, bro. Like, all around the whole stadium was full compared to what we normally get. That was unbelievable. That was a really good experience. Well, we got tapped up, but going into that game, bro, everything was just going wrong. So we had one of our best centre backs do his hammy the game before. Our keeper who started had a torn quad, so he couldn't take goal kicks. So everything was just like, like, everything for us to beat them would have had to be perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
We have to have our best game. They've got to be off.
Yeah.
And then going into it, we're like, we've already got a couple. We're already at a negative. And then we actually started off well. We had a game plan, but the quality they got, like, they were the best. I think the best A-League team at the time. I think they lost the grand final, but they did. They lost against Mariners, but they were 1 minute off winning, and Mariners scored in the last minute, and they ended up losing in extra time.
Right, yeah.
And they, to be honest, like, even now I look at their team and they're just unbelievable. Like, half their teams played Socceroos and shit.
Yeah, they're class.
It's like mechanic part-time on the weekend. But that was an awesome experience. But yeah, I think having the taste of that, that like success, helped us go into this year knowing like winning games is a privilege, bro. Yeah. Like, every game you win, that's like a massive thing. And I think so far we haven't lost that. Every game we've won, we feel it.
Nice.
Especially when you go into a rough run of form, which we have in the last month, we drew a couple and lost a couple. And so when you get back to winning again, we won our first game for a few weeks on the weekend. It's like that feeling's back. Yeah. And you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that feeling of winning.
Yeah, because it just lifts everybody's energy, and then
it makes
performances will just in like training games, like
Yeah.
everybody would just uplift everybody. And
The morale goes up
Yeah.
heaps when you're winning. Obviously, one bit of credit, or one bit, a big thing at Spirit is like, even last year, bro, I think we won our first game round 9 or something. And, you know, we were struggling, bro. Like, everyone's like, we might be in a chance for relegation here.
yeah,
I can't fault any of the lads. There's some of the boys in the changing room just clowns, regardless of if I'm one of those guys that's like, lads, we haven't won for 8 games. Like, why the fuck are we laughing all the
Yeah.
time and shit? But these guys just clowns, bro. Always taking the piss. And you know what? We needed that.
Yeah.
We needed that like uplift of energy and morale to get us through.
yeah,
And that's something at Spirit is like, when I was at RPA, if you're losing, it's unbelievable change room. But then there's like pressure from upstairs, and there's a lot of like external pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas at Spirit, it's like I feel like it's literally just the players and the coaching staff. That's our pressure.
yeah,
We have to perform for each other, for the staff, and that's it.
Mhm.
But the lads that used to take the piss joke, I'm like, mate, we haven't won in 12 games. And we're having a joke at training. That we needed that.
Yeah.
That's what helps springboard us into that good run of form.
yeah,
And then obviously it just gets better when you're winning. It
Yeah.
just gets better when you're winning.
yeah.
So-
If you can laugh and have a joke around in the bad times, like
Yeah.
it'll be 10 times better in the good times.
But you need those players too, bro. Like I can imagine at other clubs they don't have those type of characters.
Yeah.
So when you're in a slump, you can't get out.
Yeah,
Just because like everything's always like the vibe's always depressing, and it's always like, oh, lads, we keep losing, and then that's when like you're at training and players start to fucking want to punch on with each other and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Whereas I mean, obviously it happens at every team, right? You have arguments with your players and stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But at Spirit, it's always like it happens, get on with it. Next thing,
Mhm.
next thing. And I mean, obviously now we're sitting at 4th, about just short of halfway through the year, so we're doing all right.
finals.
I mean, obviously, we want to win the league. There's
Nice.
no every player. Obviously, every player wants to win the league,
Yeah.
regardless. I think going into the year, for us thinking about winning the league was more like, if we can just make finals, and we might, you never know what can happen in finals.
Yeah,
So that was always the goal. But now that we've shown like we
What you
can
can do.
compete, there's not been a game where I'm like, I mean, there was maybe one game where we just didn't turn up, and we got done.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in NPL 1. If you don't turn up, doesn't matter what team you play,
You get punished.
you're going to get punished.
yeah, 100%.
But every game, like even like we played Marconi in the, I don't know what you'd call it, but both teams were undefeated, and we ended up losing 2-1. And they're top side, bro. They've got unbelievable players. Even in the game, like traditionally against Marconi, it's like we don't feel comfortable in the game.
Yeah.
It's like we feel the quality difference.
Oh, okay.
Whereas when we played them this year, I actually felt like we were playing
was
a very
2-1?
good game. Yeah, we lost 2-1. We
Yeah.
conceded off 2 corners. So it was very frustrating. In
pieces.
for like 5 minutes. Yeah, set pieces are a part of football. So if you concede off them, you get punished. And when you concede 2 goals against Marconi,
Yeah.
to get back in a result, especially they've only conceded 7 goals, bro.
Yeah,
in
it's
like 14
crazy.
games. Ridiculous. If you're down 2-0, it's going to be really hard to come back. Obviously, we responded quick, but we just couldn't break through.
Mhm.
But traditionally, when you play Marconi, I feel like the quality difference. I feel that they're much better than us. Whereas this year, there's not been a team where I've gone, they feel a lot better than us. So that just gives us confidence. Even though there's been games where we haven't played well, we've drawn games where we feel like we should have won. Even like we played against Rockdale, that was probably one of our toughest games. We drew 1-1, and like to go to Rockdale and draw 1-1.
Yeah, it's
Notoriously, we've
huge.
lost every game against them.
Yeah.
That was like a decent result for us, and we hadn't played good, but we still stuck it out and got a result. Which
Yeah,
was
exactly.
It's a show of a great team. If you can stick it out even when you don't play well and get a result, it's
especially against the current champions.
yeah, exactly. And they've got like unbelievable players, bro. Like when you play against them, you're like, yeah, this is like as good as it gets in NPL.
Euros on like 16, 17 goals already or something like that.
And the guy's aging like fine wine, bro.
Fuck me,
But,
man.
yeah. So for us to go there and draw was unreal.
Yeah, mad.
So yeah.
Nice. All right, let's move on to your habits and routines. You said you're a big routine guy.
Yeah.
Talk us through what like your daily routine looks like to you, and what are some non-negotiables that you must get down during the day.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was definitely more routine focused in terms of like I'm superstitious, right? Like I need to eat this before the game. I need to do this. I need to do that. As I've got older, it's been a bit more flexible because I've realized that's only going to hinder you. So non-negotiables, coffee, bro. I'm going to be straight up. I love a coffee, bro. Like I got one here. This is my second one already for the day. Because the lifestyle I live is like we get home from training late at night and I have to get up really early.
Yeah.
Naps for me are huge, bro. Game changer.
Okay.
Napping has changed my life.
Really?
When I first started napping when I was like 22, that's when I first started coaching early mornings.
Like you're strategically napping.
Strategically nap. Like I'm not just going down for 4 hours and just wake up when I wake up. 1 hour and a half, time is set. That's my nap time.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. That's it.
Okay.
Done. Hour and a half. The way I see it is when people do like these 10-minute naps and stuff, it's more like for a quick burst of energy. I'm napping to recover as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I find a massive difference. If I can't nap for that 90-minute period on a training day, especially,
Okay.
bro, training, like I feel fucked. Honestly, it's really like, unless I'm having slamming 12 coffees, but then I'm not sleeping that night.
Yeah.
I feel fucked, bro, honestly.
Okay.
So the naps have been a big thing for me, like over the last couple of years. On training days, I'm trying to nap every training day.
Okay.
Because, you can't just rock up to training and just do your job. You need to perform at training.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
For me, like some players are not as, I'll give it at Spirit, everyone trains hard.
Mm-hmm.
Some other clubs I've been at where there's been players that just like kind of take it easy at training, but on the weekend, they just turn it on.
Yeah.
That's just some players are like that, right? I'm not like that. I need to train hard. I need to show myself and I don't know what the word.
That carries you onto the game on the
I'm
weekend.
competitive, bro.
Yeah.
So at training, we're doing like passing drills and stuff, and I'm like, 1-0, we're winning.
Yeah.
Like, because I've got to make everything competitive. That's just how I've always been competitive. So I need to actually compete at training. And
Yeah.
if I want to be able to compete at the level that I need a nap in a day, bro. I need it. So hour and a half.
Done.
That's when I first get home from coaching in the morning. Because
Yeah.
then after, that's the only chance I get. Because then after that, I'm out, bro. I'm out doing sessions, one-on-one sessions, school sessions, whatever it is. So I don't really have I'm not strict on a daily routine, right? I have like a checklist that I do every day, right?
Okay.
So I'll whether it's first thing in the morning or the night before, set my checklist out for the day. And then as I do my tasks throughout the day, whenever I get a chance, just tick it off. And that gives me like a little, I don't know if it's a dopamine spike or whatever it is. It gives me like a feel good.
Yeah. How do you track that? Just on a notepad on your phone?
Yeah, on my phone. I have a little an app that you just write your tasks and then you can
What's the
just
app
tick
called?
them off. Huh?
What's the app
Well,
called?
you can do it on Google Calendar, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
Is that what you use?
Huh?
Is that what you use?
No, honestly, I use a notebook.
Okay.
I
That's
use
nice.
I use an actual notebook. It might be old fashioned, but I like the satisfaction of just like
Of writing it.
green tick
Yeah.
after doing a task.
green tick.
Yeah, and if I don't do something, I get the red one, X.
Okay.
And
nice.
that I'm like shit, bro. Like,
yeah, you can visualize it better as well. I'm like that with certain things. I like to actually write shit down
Yeah.
instead of either typing it or on my phone.
Yeah. So something I've just started doing this year is goal setting as well.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to be like one of those cringe influencers that do all the
Right, but
yeah.
these
I do all
cringes
these
you are.
things, but I don't. But I have like short term, medium term, long term
Mm-hmm.
goals, whether it's football, life, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the short term one is month by month,
Mhm.
and then the medium term 3 to 6 months, and then long term 1 year to 5 years, whatever it is.
Yeah, man.
But for each one, it's like there's like steps, right? So it's not just like a vague. It's very specific. Like do this, do that, and I can
Yeah,
only
so you set your goal and then you lay out how you're going to achieve that goal.
and that directly correlates to the medium ones, and they directly
Yeah.
correlate to the long ones.
And then it's just following the script.
Yeah, so I think goal setting is really important. Whether you do it on a notepad or in your head or whatever it is, I think it's better if you write it down.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you that visual representation. That's something I only started doing this year, to be honest. But that just helps keep me on track. So I know sometimes, a lot of the time, you don't feel like training. Like it's obviously I love what I do, but sometimes you're just tired. But
Yeah.
you just gotta push through it, bro.
Yeah.
Because I have these, whatever reason is, I have these goals. I need to hit them. If I need to hit them, I need to do these sessions.
Yeah.
I need to do this. I need to do that, and that just helps me keep me on track. Because I mean, as a business owner and stuff, it's nonstop, bro.
Yeah,
You're going nonstop. Like
Yeah.
I'm bouncing from coaching to coaching, driving somewhere else for coaching, then to training, and it's like by the time I get home, I'm cooked. And I'm looking at the ceiling for an hour and a half because I've just trained my ass off and the adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
And I've got to get up at 5:30 the next morning. But just those little things, like writing down what your tasks are, goes a long way, bro. Because when you write that little red X next to whether you didn't do it, you're like,
You see, you're like,
for
fuck.
me, that's like, I'm like,
Shit cup.
that's fucking, not good enough.
Yeah.
I expect, I've done these before.
Yeah,
There's no
you know
re-
what you're capable of.
Exactly. So it's like, there's no reason I shouldn't be hitting these targets now, besides I'm a lazy cunt.
Yeah.
And I'm human like everyone, bro, right? Only God's perfect. I'm not perfect. So I try my best to hit perfection. I'm never going to. And you're going to fall short. And obviously at the time when you don't hit your goals, you're like, it's shit. But you got to react.
Yeah.
You got to It's just like football, right? You make a mistake. You got to react to that mistake. You can't just go, oh, shit, I made a mistake.
Fuck it.
That's the worst thing I see with kids these days, bro. Like they're doing a session and they make a mistake and they're like, And I'm like, bro, cut that shit out. Like, I don't want to hear that, bro. Like, I'll tell you if you're doing something wrong. Just focus on you do you. You do your thing as a player, and I'll tell you if you're doing something wrong as a coach. Yeah. That shits me, bro. And I do that too. It shits me when I see players do it, but I do it. I get frustrated, and I let that get to me sometimes. But you just got to, it's hard, but you just got to turn it off and just get back to your next job. The mistake's done. Even if it was done half a second ago, you can't change that.
Yeah, it's in the past.
Yeah, you can only change what's in front of you. And I try to apply that to life and to football. Football's taught me, football's very simple, bro. And it teaches you a lot about life. There's a lot of things that you can take directly out of football and just apply it straight to life. And the older I've got, the more I've realized that.
You can see as well, like, you've matured mentally very well. And I think that's from all these challenges you've took on, from quitting your apprenticeship to chasing your dream to living it. I think that, like you said, has definitely shaped you into who you are today. How does that, in saying that, how do you manage your work and life balance? Because, like, by the sounds of it, you're football every day. Like, coaching, playing, training, and then, like, I'm sure when you're at home, you're planning sessions or something like that. Like,
yeah, to be honest, I don't get a lot of downtime. And when I do, like I said, like, I'm sleeping to recover so I can perform again.
Yeah.
So, like, that. So just say for my daily routine as an example, the only time I got free during a day generally, obviously every day is different, but that period between like 9:30 a.m. and 12, that's like my free time. You know how people have their off time? Obviously you don't because you're a business owner, but in general, people have that time off between 5 and 9, 5 and 10. I don't have that.
Yeah.
My off time is in the morning. That's when I get my other, like if I need to do the gym, that's when I get that done.
So what's a day look like from you from the moment you wake up to the moment you're in bed?
Yeah. Okay.
On a training day.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll get up at 5:30 in the morning, and then pray, coffee, and then off to coaching. Yeah. I get to coaching at around 6:30. Set up. Coaching from 7 till 8:15 ish. I gotta mend the change room and stuff. So I hang around for a little bit. Leave coaching at 8:30 to come back home, get home at around 9, then eat, shower, nap. That's generally what I'm doing. Obviously, some days is like a Friday, I'll go get a haircut instead of having the nap and whatever. Something's interchangeable.
Bro, how hard is it to fit a haircut in?
Bro, it's...
Look at this shit.
Oh my day. Even crazy. Like, this is 6 days, bro. Can you believe this is 6 days?
This is 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, bro. That's what you should have gave me a hat as well. You should have gave me a hat.
I was supposed to go yesterday, and I even called Nichola. I was like, I'm coming. And I just didn't have time to go.
Yeah, I'm going every Friday morning because that's the only time where I'm like, that time's like set apart for a haircut.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have things that are enjoyable, but they're also part of my schedule. So I'll schedule like enjoyable time and time off. So that Friday morning is Nichola. But I'm talking about a different day anyway. So anyway, nap, sleep, and then I'll probably leave home. So that time where I have free, if I have extra time like after the nap and stuff, I'll read. I've been reading the Bible. I'm reading some theological books about like religion and stuff like that.
Nice.
So that's been enjoyable for me. It's an enjoyable thing, but it's also, I'm still learning things. So I'll do that. Then I'm out for coaching, depending on the day, just say 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm out to go second session at a school, but I'm packing all my stuff because I'm not going home after that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I take all my training gear, snacks. I'll have a coffee before I leave, definitely. So I'm out. I go to school coaching. School coaching, depending on the day, finishes around. Obviously, every day is different.
Yeah.
Every day for me is different, but I'm just going for a general day. So we'll go about 3 o'clock finish, and then off to private sessions like back to back. So usually I'll have 2 back to back. So that'll be like 4 to 6. So I'll get there at around 3:40 to set up from the school after school's finished. 2 back-to-back sessions. As soon as that's done, pack up everything back in the car, and then I'm straight off to training. I'll get to training around 10:15 before we have to be there, change, and then we got like video upstairs where we review the last game or upcoming opponent, whatever it is. And then downstairs, change on the pitch at 7:30. We start training, finish training around 9:15 sometimes. But 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock generally. Depending on how good we were. Obviously, shower, change, leave the facility at around 9:30.
Shit.
I take one of my teammates home, one of my Frankie, who's American visa player, doesn't have a car and stuff, so like I don't mind helping. Nice. He's a good lad as well, bro.
Yeah, man.
So I take him home, and then
on the way.
Yeah, he lives in Maryland, so it's kind of on the way for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like 10-minute detour, so it's nothing. He pays for all the food when we go out as well.
Shout out
it's worth
Frankie.
it. Yeah, shout out Frankie. Anyway, so we go. I take him home. I get home around generally 10 to 10:15. I get home.
Okay.
Then I'm eating food. I have to eat.
Yeah,
bro.
you have to eat.
I know
You
it's
just
so
run
close.
around
I
for
know
2
like there's that
hours.
whole thing that you shouldn't eat that close before
Yeah,
bed,
you
but it's
just
like,
fucking.
bro, I haven't had a full meal since 11. So
Yeah.
I've been having like whatever it is. If I'm lucky, I'll have like a chicken wrap or something.
Yeah.
But generally, I don't. Like that whole midday, I'm just eating bananas, protein bars, dates,
Just to
apples.
get you through.
Yeah, just to give me enough energy because like I'm moving so much. I don't want to have like that feeling. I don't mind feeling hungry sometimes. Like going into training and games and stuff, I'd rather feel a bit lighter than full.
But if you are moving that much and you haven't ate, 9 times out of 10, you don't really get that hunger feeling. You just feel a bit lighter.
Yeah, or you forget, bro.
Yeah,
you actually
exactly. Because
forget.
you're just fucking so busy.
Yeah, exactly. So then I'm going to training, and then by the time I finish training, I'm starving, bro. I'm starving. Anyway, I get home and I eat whatever. I love a salmon. Salmon's one of my favorite things to eat.
Nice.
Mum cooks for me, but that makes my life so much easier.
Shout
Shout out to my
out
mum. Honestly, she
would help.
makes my life very easy. Like she does my washing and stuff. So I still live at home. So she does my washing, most of my cooking and stuff. So she makes my life really easy. If I didn't have her, it'd be really.
Bro, you're never leaving home.
Nah, I know, bro. It's something you take for granted for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of times I take it for granted, but it's something I really appreciate. Like if I didn't have my mum for a lot of these things, like it'd make my life 10 times more difficult.
Yeah, it's just those little things that
Oh,
play
bro.
such a huge role.
They pile up, but you got a bunch of little things, and then all of a sudden, like it's piled up over your head, and you're like,
You've got no
I need a
clothes to
whole
wear.
day to do this shit now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get home, my mum cooks, I eat, and then
So she'll stay up till you get home from training to cook.
so
What an angel,
I don't
bro.
even eat what like my family eats. My family like eats different food.
And
So
she'll
my
cook
mum will cook
separate
a
for you.
separate food, and
Nice.
she 99% of the time she's doing it fresh. So she's staying up late to cook
Yeah.
my food, which is something I appreciate it so much. I get home, eat, and then I do my nighttime routine, brush my teeth, whatever. And then I go to bed, and then I'm looking at the ceiling for a good 35, 40 minutes
Yeah.
before I can get to sleep. So I would say generally I probably try to go to sleep. Well, I try to go to sleep earlier, but generally I fall asleep between 11 and 11:30.
Okay.
And then I'm up at 5:30 again the next morning. So as you can see, that's why I nap, because 6 hours of sleep is not enough for me.
Yeah, no.
So
no,
I would say, like, I've heard, like, you know, the influencers and stuff, they say 7 hours is good for me. But, like, bro, when you're doing, like, a high-performance job where your body, like, every day, I'm pushing my nervous system, like, to the brink. Whether it's with the gym, with team training, whether it's my mental, because I'm coaching kids is mentally draining.
Yeah,
Like, I love it.
I can imagine.
But sometimes, like, I'm constantly giving feedback, and I go to training, and I've got to, like, lift another gear because, like, I need to be able to talk at training. I can't be silent at training.
Yeah, and you can't be like negative either. You need to be positive, smiling,
Yeah, and it's
happily
tough.
and bubbly. Yeah,
It's tough, bro. Sometimes
it'd be
it's
tough
Yeah,
to be that every single time.
and it's not just me. Like that's like a universal thing for MPL players. Is like you have a full day at work, and then you got to come to training and be your best self as well. It's tough, bro. And sometimes your teammate's not having his best day, so you got to do what you can to help him.
Exactly. Right.
lift.
That's the same as like in here. I'm just a happy, bubbly, joking around person, just naturally. So that obviously lifts my workers up. And like, there's been periods where I've just been like completely mentally fucked, and like it shows. Like the whole office mood is just down.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm the best version of myself, especially mentally, like it just lifts the whole environment.
Exactly, bro. And I'm happy that I'm very thankful at that Spirit where we have a bunch of players that can do that. So like there might be 2 or 3 players that are not on it. They've had a hard day at work, whatever it is, and they're just 1 or 2 players crack a joke and everyone's laughing and everyone's going again. Where the best thing about football, I love playing football, don't get me wrong, but the change room is something I'm gonna miss severely. I think once I'm done playing football, I'll be happy like not kicking the ball as much anymore. But I think the change room environment is something you can't replace. Like that's something that you can't find that brotherhood anywhere else in life.
No way.
And it's just something that I've learned to appreciate from a younger age. Definitely from a younger age, because I was told like that's what you're going to miss the most. And I've learned to appreciate it more. Every time I go to training, you have a laugh with the lads, because that's not going to be there forever, bro.
And especially like now that you have that such a good group together, like you may not have another group like that again. So
it's something that you think about for sure. Like because it could be like 1 player moves on, 2 player moves on, and it shifts the whole dynamic of the change room.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't know like if another player's going to come in and it's going to be the same. So you just, as it happens, you just absorb it as it happens, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love football. Is the brotherhood that you have is just irreplaceable, bro. And I'm gonna miss
100%.
that so much when I'm done. Hopefully, I got another 25 years till I'm 50.
So what's your goals for football? Now, do you
So-
still want to go full pro?
Well, yeah. So I'll go football coaching and I'll go football playing. I'll start on playing.
Yeah.
I'd love to go pro. If I had an opportunity to go play A League, even if it was for piss or money,
Bro,
I'd
fuck
take
Sydney
that.
FC, get you in at left back, bro. Seriously, their defense was shambles this season.
No
They
comment.
signed Kyle Shaw, coming great, but then he got injured after like 2 rounds,
Yeah,
2
and
games,
he hasn't really been like.
and he hasn't been in.
and
But
he's-
like,
To be honest,
bro,
unbelievable. One of the best defenders I've played with. Even at his age, showed a lot of maturity, and he deserves that to play there. I thought him going in, he was going to be more involved than he's been. And whether you don't know.
bro,
what happens
he
every
should
day.
be starting centre back. You got Ryan Grant, Joel King starting centre back, bro. Like, come on.
You don't know what happens on a daily basis. So
This is
obviously
true.
the coaches make the decisions on a daily basis. So all I know, I can speak from my experience. Kyle Shaw is one of the best defenders I've played with,
Okay,
even though he's young.
how old is he?
He's 5 years younger than me.
Oh,
so,
shit.
Yeah, he's 20.
that young?
Yeah, so I'm 26 this year. He's be 21 this year.
Fuck.
Yeah, no, he gone. He's an absolute freak.
Okay.
Like, he was
Nice.
very, very good for us, bro. Like, if we didn't have him last year, I'm pretty sure he won our players player or coaches player or something. He won one of the awards
Yep.
at 21, which is unbelievable.
Yeah,
If we didn't have him last year, we would have been
trouble.
at least 10 points less.
Okay.
10 points less. We would have got a few less wins, a few less draws for sure. He was
Yeah.
very good for us last year. And he's a player that, like, I definitely think can go on and play not just A-League, but, like, overseas. So,
I think there's a lot of young players in the NPL which can
young and old. I've seen
Yeah.
some older players that are unbelievable,
like
bro.
that. Probably, I'd say majority of the NPL would compete with A League.
I think individually, yeah. So there's some players that, mentality things might struggle, right? Not technically, but when you go into a full-time environment, that's your job, that's everything. It's not just technical anymore. It's not just
Yeah.
tactical understanding. It's mentality, bro. Because you're fighting against top players. Like, you got like players that come in from overseas, whatever it is, day in, day out. You're fighting, right? Whereas NPL, it's more like,
But then you also have to have that team unity.
yeah, 100%.
And
But
bond.
I don't know. I've never been in an A-League environment, so I don't know. But I feel like NPL's less like dog eat dog
Mhm.
than A-League. Because, NPL is like, even though it's a good level, it's kind of like you're getting away from your real life.
Yeah.
From
It's
your
still an
work,
escape.
your family. Exactly. Whereas I feel like football at the pro level, you're not really, that is your
That
life.
is your job.
That's not your escape. That's your job.
If you don't get a contract next season, where
Exactly. How am I going to feed my family?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I would not die literally, but I would give everything just for an opportunity to feel what that's like.
Yeah.
I would love to play professional. Honestly, I'd love to play professional. I'm working on a few things that not here, but some other things. We'll see how it goes. But if I play NPL for the rest of my life, I would be pretty content with that. Because
Okay.
I think it's a really good level and I love playing NPL.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'd love to have a go at playing pro, but I also realize the older I get, the less the chances.
Australian Championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. That's one of the big things that I'm looking forward to. I really want to qualify for that.
Yeah.
I really want to qualify for that. Whether, like, there's a whole bunch of logistic things as well that's got to go right. I don't know how it's going to work exactly, but I'd love to play in that league, bro. I'd love to play against some of the best teams in Melbourne. And
I think that's a great
interstate.
opportunity for players like yourself. as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Like,
And there's a lot of play. Like, I know a lot of players that aren't really keen on it, but they're generally older. The younger
Yeah.
players I know for sure, like,
just want to play
100%, bro. And
national. Like, hopefully it'll be national coverage as well.
that'd be unreal.
TV rights haven't
And
been
I-
confirmed. I don't think.
Well, I think it's gonna be very successful. So
Yeah.
I can imagine if I wasn't playing in it and just say
You're going to
Marconi-
a Sydney United game or a Marconi game.
Marconi's playing Preston Lions. I know players from both teams,
You're gonna go.
both ethnic clubs. Of course, I'm going to go
Yeah.
watch. It's the off season. I've got nothing else to do. Now it's like people like can't get fans at A-League games. I'd go watch an A-League game if I had an hour free.
Mm.
I don't have like when
You're
A-League's playing,
playing.
I'm playing.
Yeah.
So it's like if I wasn't playing or if I was free, I would be going to watch games for sure. Especially like when
So do you think a lot of like the NPL lads who don't play in that competition will trickle into the crowd?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I would definitely think more than what happens generally.
Okay.
I think more NPL players would go watch B League than A League
Oh, 100%.
because there's such a big disconnect between NPL and A League. Where I
Yeah.
feel like NPL and B League, it's a close knit. The teams are
It's
the same.
community.
Exactly. Everyone knows each other. You have friends in the teams. You're
Mhm.
more invested into it. I think the B League is going to be a very big surprise.
I think
it's going to do very well, bro.
if it's done right, it'll take over the A League. I think. Like obviously, it can't because technically it's going to be the second division, but it'll be more followed. I think.
Yeah.
Purely because of that community culture behind the clubs.
The ethnic thing makes a big.
But
difference,
then the clubs need to tap into that, bro. Like you look at what RPR is doing, JD, what he's doing over at RPR, absolute class. Like I went to the RPR Marconi game the other week. There would have been close to like 2,000-3,000 people.
Yeah.
There. It was packed. He did a promo video for it a few days before. Teamed up with a few content creators to roll out promos. Gave away free tickets. Like I rocked up a bit late, and as I was driving there, the line was the length of the pitch just to get into the stadium.
Yeah.
So like, clubs really should be looking at bringing that on board. I know a few clubs are against sort of that, which is fucking crazy.
I don't know how. I don't know why.
But like, even like you guys when you versus Victory, like that was packed. Like
that was only 2,500.
Exactly, but like if you guys made B League, that would. I don't see why that couldn't be a week in week out thing for Spirit. It's just tapping into it and.
Well, it's also the location as well,
there.
right?
Oh, it's a fucking bitch to get to, bro.
No one likes.
Who made the decision to put it there, bro?
Oh, bro, I don't know.
Get rid of you.
It's like, bro, like all my mates that want to come watch, they're like, I got to pay $25 to get there for tolls, and then I got to sit in the freezing cold to watch you play, and I'm like, I understand why they don't want to come, but like, I definitely think if we play in the B League and we're versing teams like Preston.
Oh, people come for sure.
Oh, bro, like they're getting big crowds down there as well,
Yeah.
and I think just that, like Preston get 5K game in Melbourne.
Average, yeah.
Yeah, and they get like 9K if they're versing a big club. If they bring that, if they can even bring a couple hundred up,
Do you think they would?
I think they would. If they can do that, I think that's going to push more NPL players to be like, oh, it's going to be a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Or NPL fans or whatever it is. It's going to be a good atmosphere. Let's go watch.
Yeah.
And then
I think even just football fans in general, I think they're just over the way the A-League's been run.
Oh, for sure. I think it's going to be way more like in terms of like, you think about like our best Socceroos team, for example, all ethnic backgrounds.
Yeah.
All came from Marconi, Sydney United, Sydney Olympic, all these type of clubs. I think those guys are going to be more interested in the B League than the A League.
100% because they have an actual connection with those clubs. And those A-League clubs for the past 20 years have failed to form any connection with their fans.
And it's so, like, that's such a sad reality because I remember when we used to go
Bro, it was
games,
bouncy.
unbelievable. Like, I remember the Sydney FC Melbourne Victory games or, like, Pertec.
Remember when I had the Alex
Derby?
Brosk?
You still got that? Or you lost it, eh?
I left it at Camps Creek, bro. I got demolished from
Shambles, bro.
spewing.
I still, like...
I'd have it in here.
I go from it, like, you know how your phone comes up with, like, suggested photos to look at and stuff? That still comes up with holding the Bros thing up.
That was unreal flares out the window of the car.
Oh, bro. Good times, mate. Good times. I do miss those times.
The league was pumping then.
It was, bro. It was unbelievable, bro.
And to see it go, like, where it is now. I don't know. Did you see the Ruben Zenkovic interview?
I did. I actually liked it because I thought he was very raw and honest.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's been missing for sure.
Yeah.
It's been too robotic.
Yeah,
It's too
exactly.
much robotic shit.
Yeah.
I need to see people show more personality, more character. Like,
But like,
say what you think.
That
but it's
should
crazy,
be
eh?
a fucking like rule from the governing body that every club must have XYZ infrastructure set up. Like they don't even have a gym.
They don't have a gym. They don't have an S&C coach, which like some NPL clubs don't have an S&C coach
just
by
have an
choice.
S&C
though.
coach.
We do, but like some clubs don't by choice. But
Yeah.
whatever that is, that by the sounds of it, it's not a choice for them. It's more of a financial thing because they can't afford it. They've got an analyst that's like, what was he, a pizza restaurant manager or something?
But why are you playing at fucking Suncorp Stadium, bro?
Bro, and it's shocking. They get like,
You get 2,000 people there.
bro, it's actually disgraceful. Like to look.
You're
on
better
the
off
TV.
going and playing on a cricket pitch.
At least if you pack out if you go 2K at Suncorp versus 2K at Christie, it's a completely different environment.
Exactly right.
They should just go play at like one of the local NPL teams.
Or
fields
even
something.
they're playing some games out at, I think, the Dolphin Stadium out in, I don't know, it was a smaller stadium.
Yeah.
And it had like an RSL club
Yeah.
attached to it, and they were getting decent crowds there. This was a few years ago. But like, I don't understand why are you renting that?
Especially when you're not getting as many fans as you want. Because I understand
Fair
why,
enough
like,
if you're getting 20,000.
I understand why like Pertec was changed completely because they used to every derby was crazy.
Yeah.
The derbies there were unbelievable because it was so tight. I understand because obviously you want to make more money as well. And and at the time, like even with the upgrade, they were still selling out the stadium.
Yeah.
Obviously it's gone down now, but at the time they were still getting 40K whatever.
Next season will be.
There was a
big for
derby
it.
60K, bro. Do you remember that?
Remember the derby at ANZ? That the tifo dropped down from the.
Bro, some of the tifos were unbelievable from both sides, bro.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Graham Arnold one? That was good banner. And when there was like rumors of like
Yeah.
him coming to Wanderers,
Yeah.
that would never age very well.
Remember, Wanderers stole. RBB stole
Yeah, I remember.
tifo and dumped it in the lake. That was funny.
But that's like, yeah, obviously at the time you're looking at it and you're like, shit, that's fucking terrible. But that's what made the game. That's
Yeah,
what made
exactly.
the derby. What
Yeah.
made the rivalry, bro, is that the fans, there was such a big disconnect between like, and let's I don't think it's ethnic, but like East and West, like we're both from the West.
Yeah.
And we both went for Sydney. But we know like the personality differences between the East and the West.
Oh, huge person.
We were the most West you could get as a Sydney FC fan. So people were looking at us probably
me.
thinking, you're a Wanderers fan, eh?
Our group that we used to go with.
Bro, biggest
Bro,
wogs.
Yeah.
The biggest wogs you could get, which was like the opposite of what Sydney was.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Bro, it's the best.
And like all my mates were Wanderers fans and like my best mates. And then on the day, I hated them.
Yeah.
Talking shit, bro. I remember the Facebook comments were going off.
Go back to school like on a Monday after a
Oh,
derby on
if
the
you just
weekend.
lost the derby, you were fucking walking in with a beanie and hoodie on, bro.
I remember one derby we won, and I walked in. I had a drum. I walked into school with a Sydney FC scarf, and the principal at the time, he was a Sydney FC fan as well, but he lived in the eastern suburbs. So he was one of those Eastie boys.
Yeah.
So I walked into school, drum, banging it, scarf on, like in everybody's face because we had a few teachers as well that had a bit of banter with. And he goes, "Look, I love it, but you calm down a bit."
But I know for a fact, because I remember at school when Wanderers, I was like year 7 or 8 when Wanderers first became a thing. Straight away from the start, all these guys that never supported A-League fled to Wanderers. And it was good. It was unbelievable for the league, bro. It was unbelievable for the league. That, like what you said about like, you used to go to school and brag about it, that's not in the A-League anymore. I coach at schools.
Yeah.
And like, I remember like, for example, if Wanderers beat Sydney in a derby, I was going to school ashamed. Like I didn't want to see
Or
any
you'd be
of my mates.
talking about the derby for the whole week leading
It'd
up
be like,
to it.
oh,
bro.
this guy's a grub, or that guy's
Yeah.
terrible. You only won because of this, whatever. That doesn't happen now, bro. I'm around kids at school. Kids don't even follow A-League, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you name 3 players that play for Wanderers? They're like, I don't know any. Which is like, obviously we had kids at school that was like, oh, I don't watch A-League, it's shit.
Yeah.
But like, that wasn't like a norm.
No.
Especially when Wanderers joined, that wasn't a norm. But now, like, bro, kids don't watch A-League at all, bro. Like, at all. It's not even a topic of conversation, bro.
Even like, you don't know what games are on.
Oh, that's a whole other
Bro,
thing. That's you can get into that.
The
for
finals
hours,
start
bro.
in like, the finals are next week. I'm pretty sure.
Do you remember? Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They're this
see?
weekend. I only know because my mate's playing it. I'm like, I don't know because it's advertised.
I only know because we sponsor UBF and they cover the A-League.
Bro, do you remember Fox Sports?
Yeah. Oh,
Fox Sports, best purchase ever, bro. I don't know how much Foxtel
Go.
used to cost. You got EPL and you got A-League.
everything, bro.
And you got if you want to pay extra, you could get all the other leagues, like from Foxtel.
I add on Bean Sports.
Yeah, and as soon as Paramount came into the fold, I'm sorry,
Paramount's
but
fucked.
it's been fucking retarded. No one's buying Paramount. No, especially now in the A-League, you need to be more inclusive than you've ever been because it's such at a bad place. You need to be trying to get the biggest audience, bro. There's probably 1% of the Australian population has Paramount.
I'd like to see like the actual numbers on how many
Bro,
like people are watching each game.
I
I'd
only
love to see
I
that.
only have Paramount because of the A-League, and
Me too.
I watch A-League like once. If I'm lucky, I watch one A-League game every couple of weeks. That's the only reason I have Paramount. And how many people do you think are going to go out of their way to buy a Paramount membership to watch A-League? And sometimes it lags. Like, what is
Bro,
that
sometimes
shit?
you can't even like open the fucking game.
Bro, it
Depends like what
you
how
press
you
it
go
and it goes
through
out of it, eh?
Yeah, or
Like-
it just goes to that blue screen and it's that music. It's like boom, boom, ba.
Oh, bro, that does my head. And like, if you compare that to like Foxtel
Even KO.
never had a problem.
Bro, even hop on KO Sports, man.
They need some. I don't know how long the deal is, but they need to get off contract now.
Yeah.
I hope they have a clause that says if we do shit, we're
I
out.
think if they go with either KO or Optus,
There couldn't be a worse option. Let's just put it that way.
KO
There couldn't be a
Optus,
worse
even
option than what they have
Stan
now.
Sports has come good with the Champions League. First year, they were terrible with it.
But you need to get in with a place that's got more value than just A-League.
Yeah,
You can't-
exactly.
you
So
can't
if they
just-
go with Optus, you got the Premier League there.
Exactly.
You've got the J League there.
So people are like, exactly. People are like, oh, we'll just watch it. No one's buying Paramount just to watch A-League. No one's doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago you could have convinced people to do that.
Dumb
But
as
even
dog
back
shit, bro.
then, I reckon if Paramount was there from the start, A-League wouldn't have hit that peak like it did. Because the advertising is fucking shit, bro.
There is none.
I don't know when games are on unless I check.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, every second ad was A-League.
Bro, you used to know everything about it.
Like, even if you didn't watch A-League, you'd be seeing it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm lucky if I see it on the back of a bus, bro.
Nothing.
Shambles.
It's fucking disgusting.
And it's like, I don't know what the financial situation is. Obviously, I know that I always hear stuff. It's a good time to be a youngster for the A-League because they've got no money. So they're getting a
But
lot of
like,
youngsters
where
in.
has all their money gone? That's a thing.
I don't know, bro. Well, some of the teams just aren't. I don't think they have their cash flow just because they can't pull attendances. That's one of the things for sure.
But then, if you got that, you've got the players there. I'm sure they've got someone there that can work a fucking camera on a phone. Go down to a different school in their area every week. Send 2 players down. Like,
some clubs do that, but I don't know how frequent it is.
but like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to take 2-3 hours out of 4 people's days, and you're going to
you'll
guarantee
get kids more invested for sure.
Then they're going to tell their parents, "Oh, fucking so and so from Wanderers come down. I really want to go to the game this weekend."
For sure. I don't know how often they're doing that. I know clubs do that. Like I've seen people I know do that, but I
like,
don't know how frequent.
Stuff
and
like even
that.
stuff with clubs, like they need to be out there making that connection because that's what people obviously want.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting that, why the fuck are they going to go to a game when it's at the state it is? Like you walk into an A-League game, and I haven't been to one this season, but I went to a few last season. Allianz, amazing stadium, but bro, you have 7,000 people in there. Feels like a cemetery.
And that's a good crowd for an A-League
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
7,000 is decent.
Whereas, like, if, say, like, as a sports fan in general, like, we went to the basketball, I took you with us to the basketball.
That was unreal.
Bro,
That was unreal.
entertainment.
And I've never watched a game of basketball in my life. And, like, I have a lot of friends that watch NBA, and they've even followed, like, because wasn't, what's that guy's name? He used to play for Illawarra.
LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, like him. When
was
I went
about
to
to
watch,
buy it.
my mates are like, bro, LaMelo Ball used to play for them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't have a clue, honestly. But that was entertaining, bro. I'd actually had a lot of fun at that
Yeah.
basketball game because, like, I don't know how many people were in that stadium, for example. But it's just,
6,000.
and it's compact.
Yeah.
So you can feel the environment. If they went to a football stadium that only holds 10,000 and you get 7,000 there, it's going to feel a lot better.
100%.
Like now you go to Suncorp and it's like there's about 5,400 seats before the next person.
You can feel like you can hear them actually kick the ball.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's so close. Like if you look at even some of the pitches most of the pitches in England, the fans are 5 meters away from the field. Whereas like in the A-League, it's just small things, but it feels like you're 15, 20 meters away.
Yeah. And then that makes a huge difference on the entertainment as a whole.
100%,
the
bro.
fans.
And I mean, that's a problem they're gonna have to solve. Obviously, it sucks to see the A-League going down, especially as a supporter growing up, and obviously always wanting to play in that level. And don't get me wrong, it's still a good level. The players in the A-League are top players.
Oh,
bro.
yeah. I don't think it's
Top
got anything
players.
to do with the players. Majority of the coaches are great coaches as well.
Yeah.
I think it's more the people in charge of the league and the clubs.
I don't think they're run by football people, bro. That's the
No,
big
they're
problem.
just run by suits who just care about numbers. And
It's a
that's
big
the
problem.
unfortunate thing.
Big
And
problem.
huge problem. Anyways, A-League, we can go on a whole conversation about that.
Mate.
Let's move on to some advice and motivation to
Yeah.
wrap it up. Any young kids or even late teens looking to pursue football as a career,
Yeah.
what advice and motivation would you give them?
So I'll go on motivation last, but I'll say advice. Just try and train as much as you possibly can, and try and find coaches that actually understand the game. So there is a lot of coaches now that you can find that I don't want to talk bad about any coaches, but like there's coaches that you can find that just they don't know what it takes to actually become a player. Like, and I'm not saying that you can't be a good coach if you didn't play at a good level, because that's not true. But if you find a good coach, you want to try and stick with him. Don't worry about the club, the level, that type of stuff. You can worry about that when you get to 15, 16. That's when it really matters. When you start getting to those ages, it matters where you're playing.
Okay.
But when you're like, 8 to 14, You just need to be spending as much time on the ball as you possibly can, whether it's team training, whether it's out the back with your mates, whether it's individual sessions, whether it's school. You need to
Ball at your feet.
Yeah, bro. You need the ball at your feet. You know, people in Australia, especially, it's a lot about physicality, where that doesn't set you apart when you get older, because everyone can run when you get older.
Yeah.
But not everyone can play football well. To be honest, even at the level I play, there's a lot of players that have a lot gaping holes, me included, gaping holes in my technical ability. But my work rate got me over the line, but it's not been enough to get me to that top level.
Yeah.
I would say just as many touches as you can on the ball, work on both feet, do the simple things right, and then once you get the basics right, you can start to implement, like, you know, beating players one-on-one. You need to have something about you that sets you apart. So if you're good at something, hone in on that and make it better. Obviously, don't leave everything else behind.
Yeah.
You got to be an overall player. You got to be able to pass the ball well. You got to be able to dribble well, shoot. You need to be physical. Like, these things first touch, non-negotiables. But everyone has a different. So, like, my X factor is probably defending, tackling. So I've honed in on that, and that's become one of my strong suits. If you're good at running at players one-on-one, you're quick, hone in on that, because that's going to be something that sets you apart from everyone else. So you need to have something about you. There needs to be an X factor. You can't just be an overall.
There's something special.
Yeah, you can't just be a 5 at everything.
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough. It might be enough to get you to a decent level, but if you want to play a really good level, you need to be at least a 5 in everything. And then you need to have a couple attributes where you're like a 9 or a 10, whether it's your finishing, whether it's your one-on-one ability, whether it's your defending, whatever it is, there's got to be something about you that changes.
Nice.
But as a kid, don't stress too much. If you're a parent watching, don't stress too much about where your kid's playing at 8, 9, 10 years old. Find him a good coach. There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously I'll plug myself. But there's plenty of good coaches out there. Once you find a good coach, try and stay with him as long as you can. They'll help you develop. I would suggest if you're in an academy now, try and play with a club as well, if you can with a school, as many sessions as possible. Put yourself out there as much as you can. Train as many times as you can. Obviously, training by yourself is difficult, so you want to put yourself in where you're going to be accountable. If you're training by yourself, realistically, you're not going to keep yourself accountable. You're going to miss a lot of sessions. But if you sign up to a school program, you sign up to a club, you sign up to an academy, those things you've paid for, now you're going to be more invested and you're going to want to keep them in there. So as much football as you possibly can, and then obviously as you get older, try and start to niche out on your abilities, hone in on one skill that you're really good at. Make that your X factor, depending on your position, of course. And that's advice I would give. In terms of motivation, there's not much you can say about motivation. Like, just if you want it, you'll go get it. If you don't want to make it, if you think like it's just going to happen, like I did at a certain age, it's not going to just happen. You've actually got to go out and work your ass off. You got to be the top worker in every environment you go into. So whether you're the best or the worst, it's irrelevant. You've got to go in and be the hardest worker in every team, and that's going to set you apart from everyone, and that's going to give you the best chance. And I'm not going to sit here and say if you do all that, you're going to become pro, because it's not how it is. When you get to pro, being good enough is only one thing out of 10. Yeah. There's a lot of other things that have to line up. They have to be looking for players in your position.
Know the right people.
Know the right connections is huge. People say politics, but it's not really politics. It's just you got to know people to help get you there.
Yeah, to open the conversation.
And that's how it is in life as well, right?
Exactly,
you network with people, and you could be the best at what you do, but if you live in your basement,
you're not going
to get yourself out there. It's just not how it works. And that's the same with football. I would say one piece of advice that I learned from young: don't burn your bridges. Even if you have a bad coach, don't always end on good terms. Yeah. Always end on good terms, because you never know. That coach might go on to coach somewhere high or know someone that could help you. And if you ended on bad terms, he's never going to think of you.
100%. So
always keep your bridges as much as you possibly can. And just, if you want it, you're going to go get it. And if you don't want it, then you won't go get it. It's as simple as that. There's not much motivation I can give to kids. If you love football and you truly want it to become your career, you're going to work your ass off to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all I can say.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the foundation.
No worries, bro. I appreciate you having me.
And if anyone wants to get into some sessions with you, how can they get in touch or find that out?
Yeah, so you can check out my Instagram page, SN Football.
Yep.
It's black and gold heading. It's got about 200 followers right now. So I'm pretty full at the moment in terms of sessions. But if you reach out to me, I'm sure we can make something happen. I'm working on some group sessions with younger kids and stuff like that at the moment. Okay, nice.
And what age do you take on from?
Oh, mate, I work with kids from 4 to 18. Any age. So don't worry about the age. I'm actually going to do a session with a kid that I know that's plays pro overseas. He's here for his off season. He's 21, so I'm gonna be doing some sessions with him.
Nice.
So any age, bro,
Okay.
reach out to me, and I'm very easily contactable. And yeah, we'll try and sort something out.
Thank you very much, bro.
No worries, bro. Thanks for having me.
See
Appreciate
you
it.
guys next week on the foundation. Perfect.
Fuck, you're sweating, cunt.